Hola a todos. Si estás buscando una manera fresca y efectiva de aprender inglés, hoy te presentamos una técnica que te ayudará a alcanzar tus metas más rápido. Quédate con nosotros para descubrir cómo funciona. Si te gusta este video, no olvides suscribirte, darle like y compartir tu opinión en los comentarios. Empecemos.
One day, in a very far away forest, there lived a big, strong bear named Bruno. Bruno was kind, but also a bit clumsy. He liked to walk through the forest, collect honey, and enjoy the sun. Despite his size, Bruno felt lonely. He had no friends to share his days with. Nearby, in a very tall tree, lived a small, clever cat named Tito. Tito was the complete opposite of Bruno. He was agile, fast, and always had a plan in mind. Tito loved to explore and discover new things. But he also had a mischievous heart, and he liked to play pranks on the other animals in the forest. One morning, while Bruno was picking berries, Tito, who was watching him from a branch, decided to play a prank on him. He jumped in front of Bruno and said, "Hey, Bruno! Did you know that there is a magic cave in the forest? Inside it, everything you wish for will come true." Bruno, with his big, shining eyes, became excited. "Tell me more, Tito," Bruno asked, eager to know. Tito, with a sly smile, continued. "The cave is on the other side of the river. But be careful, there is a secret to enter. Only those who are truly brave can cross." Bruno, determined to prove his bravery, began his journey towards the river. As he walked, Tito followed him silently, enjoying his joke. But something began to change in Tito's heart. Seeing Bruno's dedication, he began to feel bad for tricking him. Bruno had no malice, he just wanted to fulfill his deepest wish, to find a friend. When Bruno reached the river, Tito stepped forward and said, "Bruno, there is something I must confess to you." Bruno looked at him, not understanding. "There is no magic cave," Tito said, his head down. "It was just a joke." Bruno, instead of getting angry, smiled sweetly. "It's okay, Tito. I don't need a magic cave. What I really wanted was a friend, and I have already found him." Tito felt something warm in his heart. For the first time, he understood the value of friendship. From that day on, Tito and Bruno became inseparable. The bear taught the cat to enjoy the simple things, and the cat taught the bear to be more cunning. And so, Tito and Bruno discovered that sometimes the most magical things are not found in hidden caves, but in the hearts of those around us. The real magic is in friendship, in sharing moments, in being sincere and in forgiving. But the story of Bruno and Tito does not end here. Because in a forest full of adventures, each day brings a new challenge, a new opportunity to learn and grow together. And so, the two friends continue walking through the forest, searching for new mysteries, and always remembering that, deep down, the real magic is created by themselves. One day, while Tito and Bruno were exploring an unfamiliar part of the forest, they found something curious. It was an old, huge tree with a door carved into its trunk. The door was small, barely the size of Tito. It was covered in moss, and it looked like no one had opened it in a long time. "What do you think is behind that door, Tito?" Bruno asked, intrigued. Tito, his eyes shining with excitement, replied, "There is only one way to find out, Bruno. Let's go in." The cat pushed the door with his little paw, and it opened with a soft creak. Behind the door, they found a spiral staircase that descended into darkness. Without thinking twice, Tito began to go down, followed closely by Bruno, who had to bend down a lot to get through. As they went down, the light outside disappeared, but small fireflies began to light the way. After what seemed like an eternity, they arrived at a large underground cavern. In the center of the cavern, there was a lake of crystal-clear water. But the most amazing thing was what stood above the lake, a glowing tree, which seemed to be made of pure light. "What is this place?" Bruno whispered, amazed. It's incredible," Tito said, at a loss for words to describe what they were seeing. As they approached the tree, they noticed that its leaves were glowing with changing colors. It was as if the tree was alive and breathing, and with each breath, the lights in the cavern flickered softly. Suddenly, a deep, calm voice echoed through the cavern. "Welcome, travelers," the voice said. "I am the guardian of the tree of wisdom." Bruno and Tito stopped, searching for where the voice was coming from. But they saw no one. "Do not be afraid," the voice continued. "I have been waiting for someone with a pure heart to show you the secrets of this forest. You, together, have shown that true strength comes from respect and friendship. For that, I will grant you a special gift." Tito, who had always been curious, could not contain himself. "What kind of gift?" he asked, his whiskers trembling with excitement. "The gift of understanding the language of nature," the guardian replied. "Now, you will be able to talk to the trees, the flowers, the rivers, and the mountains. They will teach you their secrets and show you paths that no other being can see." Bruno and Tito looked at each other with shining eyes. Being able to understand nature would be the greatest gift they could receive. "But remember," the voice warned, "this gift is powerful. Use it with wisdom and humility." With a flash of light, the tree shone brighter, and then, the cave fell silent. Tito and Bruno felt different, as if something inside them had changed. When they left the cave and returned to the forest, everything around them seemed more alive. "Bruno, do you hear that?" Tito asked. Bruno nodded, smiling. "Yes, Tito. The trees are whispering. They say there is a secret path to a hidden valley, where the river sings a magical melody. Let's find out," Tito exclaimed. And so, Tito and Bruno, now with the power to communicate with nature, continued their journey. Each day was a new adventure, a new discovery, and as they explored the forest, they learned life lessons that no other being could ever know. But this is not the end of their story, because in a forest full of secrets, the adventure never ends. Each dawn brings a new promise, a new mystery to solve, and together, Tito and Bruno press on, creating their own magic, day after day. As Tito and Bruno continued on their way to the hidden valley, the forest around them seemed more vibrant and full of life than ever. The trees rustled softly, the flowers bent as they passed, and the wind brought them ancient melodies that only they could understand. As they approached the river, they heard a soft song, a melody that seemed to come from deep within the water. Tito, with his ears pricked up, stopped and looked at Bruno. "It's the river," Tito said. "It's calling us." Bruno leaned towards the bank, and with his large paw, he gently touched the water. Suddenly, the river shone with a blue light, and the figure of a small water creature emerged. It was a nymph, her body formed by the river itself, with long, wavy hair like the currents. "Welcome, travelers," said the nymph in a soft, melodious voice. "I am Nerea, the guardian of this river. I have been waiting for your arrival." Tito, always curious, asked, "Why were you waiting for us?" Nerea smiled sweetly. "Because you are the chosen ones. The valley you are heading to is a sacred place, but it is also fragile. It needs to be protected, and only those who understand the voice of nature can do so." Bruno, with his innate kindness, replied, "We will do everything we can to protect it, Nerea." The nymph nodded, pleased. Before continuing, they must cross the river, but this is no ordinary river. It is a river of memories. When they cross it, they must confront their deepest memories, those that have shaped who they are today. Only then will they be able to reach the valley. Tito and Bruno looked at each other, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. Crossing the river meant more than getting their feet wet, it meant facing themselves. Without further hesitation, Tito took the first step. As he touched the water, he felt himself surrounded by a soft mist, and suddenly, he was somewhere else. He was a little kitten again, in his childhood home, remembering how he used to play alone, wishing for a friend. He saw how his loneliness had led him to be cunning and distrustful, using pranks to hide his true desire for company. Meanwhile, Bruno also found himself in his own memory. He was a bear cub, trying to reach the honey in a tall tree. He remembered how he always felt clumsy and less capable than the other bears, how that had made him seek strength in his heart instead of just in his body. They both traveled through these memories, better understanding who they were and why they had become the way they were. But, instead of feeling sadness, they felt deep relief. Because they knew that those moments had brought them here, had brought them together as friends. When they emerged from the river, Nerea was waiting for them on the opposite bank, with a serene smile. "You have passed the test. Now you are ready to enter the valley," she said, and with a gentle gesture of her hand, the path into the valley opened before them. Tito and Bruno walked with a firm step, knowing that what awaited them would be both a challenge and a blessing. The valley was a place of indescribable beauty, fields of flowers that sang in the wind, trees so tall that they touched the sky, and a crystal-clear river that meandered through the entire landscape. But the valley also had its own guardian, an ancient tree in the center, with branches that extended like protective arms over the earth. The tree spoke to them in a grave and ancient tone. You have reached the heart of the forest, the place where life begins and ends. This valley is sacred, but also vulnerable. It needs care, love, and wisdom. You, with your new gift, have the responsibility to protect it. Tito and Bruno nodded solemnly, understanding the magnitude of their task. They knew that their adventure was not over, but was just beginning. In the hidden valley, they found not only a place to protect, but a home where their friendship could flourish even more. And so, as the days passed, Tito and Bruno dedicated their efforts to caring for the valley, learning more each day from the whispers of nature, the wisdom of the trees, and the song of the river. Together, they created a place of peace and harmony, where all beings in the forest could live in balance. But the story of Tito and Bruno remains open, because in a world full of life, there will always be new challenges and new wonders to discover. And as long as they have each other, there is nothing they cannot face.
Y con eso terminamos. Si te gustó este vídeo, asegúrate de suscribirte al canal. Además, te invitamos a ver el siguiente vídeo que te dejamos por aquí, para seguir mejorando tu nivel de inglés a base de práctica y repetición. Nos vemos allí.